What's up everyone, I'm CallumOnToast, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing some insane battles in the Love Cup with an unintentional, fairly difficult to obtain team with Armarouge, Wugtrio, and Crocodile. Now for both Armarouge and Crocodile, you need to get them from research rather than from egg hatching, because unfortunately when you hatch them from eggs they're too high in CP to fit in the Great League, and I think both have only ever been available once from research, so they are quite rare. And Wugtrio of course is only available in beach biomes, so if you don't live near any beaches then it's going to be very difficult for you to obtain one. Now this team actually did a lot better than I was expecting, as I was able to gain about 100 elo with the team, and I was pleasantly surprised with the performance from Wugtrio, which has a stat product worse than Haxorus and Chandelure, and previously when I've tried to use it, it has unfortunately sucked big time, but it genuinely has some play in this meta. So with that being said, let's just get into the question of the day. Which currently banned Pokemon that has some red or pink do you think should actually be eligible for the Love Cup? The other day I was looking at the meta and I realized that both Shadow Groudon and Shadow Ho-Oh aren't available for this meta, and that makes literally zero sense to me at all. They are very clearly both red Pokemon. I don't know if maybe legendaries are banned and they just didn't think to mention it in the blog post for the description of this meta, but either way they definitely should be allowed. So let me know if you can think of any other Pokemon that are very clearly pink or red and for whatever reason aren't usable. But anyways, with that being said, let's get into the battles now. Alright, so go into the first battle, leading Armarouge into Scrafty. So this is actually a pretty decent matchup for me if they are on counter, which they are, because of course we are going to outpace them to the first charge move if they commit to a foul play. The fact that they don't go for a foul play here means I'm going to no shield. They then swap into a Crocodile. We can come in with a Wugtrio, and because they throw immediately, trying to get off the charge move before I reach a charge move myself, I'm able to get a full Mud Slap in for free and get a full Mud Slap farm down there. And bear in mind, these Mud Slaps, they're not even stab. That's how insanely attack weighted this Pokemon is. They come back in with a Scrafty. We can go for Liquidation. Liquidation gets the defense drop there, and now I can go for a second Liquidation. At this point, Liquidation, I'm gonna grab the final shield, so I snipe with the Armarouge. We've already got the Flame Charge banked. Flame Charge gets the KO because of the drop to the defense. They come in with a Skeleturge. We are now boosted. This Psyshock is going to do big damage here. Psyshock gets them into range where actually I don't need to use the Crocodile at all. Mud Slap from the Wugtrio, able to get that fast move farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's on there into the next battle, probably the most problematic Pokemon for this team. I actually save swap into Crocodile. Usually I use the Wugtrio, but of course, Wugtrio is my only real answer to Alomomola, and we're going to go straight for a Crunch on the CMP tie with a Power-Up Punch, and they actually throw the energy, which is huge for me. Best case scenario for me, actually, because even though Armarouge is going to completely wall the energy of the Medicham, of course, I still kind of want it healthy because they do have Alomomola in the back. So, at this point, I'm going to bank the energy. I'm going to swap straight away into Wugtrio if they come back in with a Alomomola, and they do, and they swap into a Galarian Slowbro, and look at that Mud Slap damage. Of course, we're not a ground type, so I'm not resisting the Poison Jab damage, and honestly, they're dealing pretty much as much damage as we're dealing, so instead of going for a farm down, we go for Liquidation. They no shield that, and that is actually great for me. Now here, of course, I could go for Dig, but instead, I'm going to fish for another debuff. Liquidation, gonna be shielded, and it gets the debuff, and that is huge for me because now I don't need to risk going for a Flame Charge and having it no shielded. I can go straight Psyshock in this matchup, and because I've debuffed their defense, I can now just shield up the Psychic, go for one extra Incinerate, make sure to throw on good timing, and from this range, with a drop to their defense, Psyshock gets the KO there, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG top on there into the next battle. See another Scrafty in the lead. So once again, if they don't actually farm up to the foul play, I will just no shield in this matchup. And again, they're going to go straight for a Thunder Punch. So at this point, going to no shield this. The opponent goes for Thunder Punch before swapping into a Miltank this time around. So we can come in with the Crocodile, and the opponent is going to throw a Body Slam straight away. So pretty clear they're on Thunderbolt and not Ice Beam. Otherwise, they probably would have farmed to it. But either way, we can go for a Brick Break. Brick Break is hopefully going to put them into Mud Slap farm down range. However, it actually might not do so. So instead, we're going to no shield this. Can I commit to the farm down? Unfortunately, just barely not. So I will actually fire off the Brick Break. Brick Break will, of course, get the KO here. And we're so low that Scrafty only gets in one counter, which is absolutely fine with me. We can come back in with the Armarouge. We're now at 100 energy, so I will fire off the Flame Charge. And then I'm actually going to go straight for Flame Charge number 2 here. Not the best timing, but it doesn't really matter. I assume they're going to double shield. So Flame Charge grabs the final shield. We can swap into our Wugtrio, of course. Going to shield this up. We've seen Thunder Punch Punch already. They're actually on Power Up Punch, which explains why they didn't go for a foul play up against the Armor Rouge. But obviously, Power Up Punch, not great for us because we are taking huge damage from the counters. We finally get off a Liquidation, and they've got a Skeledirge in the back. We're able to resist the Incinerate damage, fire off another Liquidation. Liquidation gets the KO up against Skeledirge, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's hop on there into next battle. We see a Licky in the lead. They're going to say swap into the Wug Trio. Unfortunately, the opponent is going to stay in, and they will outpace me to quite a hard-hitting move. So I'm going to shield. Could be a Shadow Ball, could be an Earthquake. They actually bait with a Body Slam, which is not ideal. But then they swap into a Loma Mola, and I kind of need this. So, honestly, not too bad for me at all. I'm going to go for Dig there. Dig, of course, going to hit full neutral damage whilst Liquidation is resisted. At this point, they're probably going to shield, so maybe could have gotten away with going for a Liquidation there. But either way, we just guarantee a shield or big damage. The opponent goes for a full farm down, and now what I'm thinking here is, honestly, the opponent realizes that, of course, a Hydro Pump going to do a lot of damage, obviously easily takes us out, but it costs so much energy, so they bait with a Psychic. I'm able to call the bait there. Then I realize, of course, this is just going to be another Psychic, which is double resisted by the Crocodile, so I don't need to use a shield there, which is really nice for me. The opponent comes back in with the Licky. We've seen Body Slam already, so I'm going to no-shield that charge move, fire off the Brick Break as I reach back-to-back charge moves, but unfortunately, again, it's a CMP tie here. But the opponent uses their shield anyway, so at this point, I'm definitely going to shield. They must be weak to Crocodile in the back, and they are. They come in with Galarian Slowbro. I'm going straight for the Crunch. Crunch does big damage, but Mudslap actually does not get the KO there. They are one away from a Brutal Swing, and that is so unfortunate there. I think they're on 1 HP, and even worse for me, I realized after the game, I searched this up on PvPoke, but an Incinerate from Armor Rouge would actually do 1 more damage than a Mudslap from Crocodile, in which case, if I swapped into Armor Rouge, I actually could have got the win there, but unfortunately, I didn't realize that at the time. I thought Mudslap would get the KO, and we end up losing that game. But GG's Turbo there into next battle, another Licky in the lead, so again, they stay in. This time, they full send the Earthquake, though, before swapping into a Wigglytuff, so we go straight for Liquidation, no drop to their defense, but that's okay. We can wait out the switch clock, come in with the Armor Rouge, and they will reach a Swift, but that's okay. Not going to do too much damage here, and we can get off a second Incinerate to get the farm down. So at this point, we're already down a shield. I might as well stay in with the Armor Rouge and at least fire off a Side Shock before swapping out into my Crocodile. Side Shock going to be shielded by the opponent. We swap into Crocodile, and they've got a Bruxish. I don't know why they swapped it in here, but obviously, I'm going to shield this up here. The opponent could be going for Aqua Tail. They do just go straight for Aqua Tail instead of dropping my defense with a Psychic Fangs, which is quite risky. And here, I can actually afford to bait because Brick Break doesn't do much damage, but it puts them into Mudslap farm down range. They come back in with the Licky. We can go straight for a Brick Break here. Brick Break is going to be no-shielded by the opponent, and my Switch Stock is just up in time. I'm going to swap into Armor Rouge. The opponent goes for the Earthquake there, which means we can come in, go for the Mudslap farm down, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG Turbo there into next battle. We see Galarian Slowbro in the lead. So, going to say swap into the Wug Trio, and the opponent is going to stay in initially. They throw on very poor timing, though, so they give me a full Mudslap in for free. They go for Brutal Swing before swapping into a Medicham. So at this point, we're going to go straight for Liquidation. Liquidation grabs the shield. Unfortunately, no debuff once again, and they can go for a huge farm down. But again, Armor Rouge going to wall the energy here, so not that bad for me. We're going to come in with the Armor Rouge, and the opponent is going to throw on, well, decent timing there, throwing just before we reach a charge move. The opponent goes for a Psychic, which is resisted damage. I now go for 1 extra Incinerate, fire off the Flame Charge. Flame Charge, of course, going to boost up my attack here, but they come in with a Loma Mola. It's not looking too good for us right now. I'm going to overfarm with the Crocodile, fire off a Crunch here, but honestly, even if we get a debuff, it's not going to help me too much. We do get the debuff, which means, of course, Side Shot going to do more damage, but unfortunately, it won't quite be enough damage to get the KO from this range. And unfortunately, Waterfall easily able to take out the Armor Rouge, and we do end up losing that game. But GG's up on there into next battle. We see a Licky in the lead once again. So once again, gonna say swap into Wug Trio, but actually the opponent swaps out into a Loma Mola, which is really fortunate for me. You can see I tried to swap out straight away, but unfortunately, like for whatever reason, the Incinerate registered instead, but it actually works out in my favor because now we can just go for a shield hit and then go for a full Mudslap farm down up against this Loma Mola and come out with a decent amount of energy as well. So let's see what the opponent wants to do. They are going to wait out the switch clock, come in with a Medicham, and now we've got it aligned to the Armor Rouge. This should be game over. We go for Liquidation. Liquidation, again, not getting that defense drop. And by the way, Liquidation and Surf both now cost 45 energy. Surf does slightly more damage, but I kind of wanted the chance for the drop to the defense with the Liquidation, which is why I opted for it. Now we're going to go straight for the side shock here as the opponent swaps back into Licky Licky. We can come in with the Crocodile. If they farmed up to like a Solar Beam, I would actually respect the damage, but it's just an Earthquake. Earthquake does do a lot of damage, but they won't be able to go for a rollout farm down, so that's fine with me. We go for a Brick Break here, and I realize the switch clocks are slightly misaligned, so I don't want to shield and then risk the opponent coming in and counter farming me down. So instead, we let that go through. Now we can just go for a full Incinerate farm down, go for one extra Incinerate, come out with back-to-back side shocks, and if this doesn't get the KO, then I would be able to go for the second one straight away, but actually it gets the KO anyways, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG so by there, into the next battle, we can see a Clefable in the lead. So the opponent's going to say swap into a Licky Licky. We can come in with the Crocodile, and again, if they farm up to a potential Solar Beam, I will shield. But the opponent is just going to go straight for the Earthquake there, which does do a lot of damage, but not enough to threaten the shield there. Of course, now they can just spam out Body Slams if they are on Body Slam, but that's okay. I don't mind shielding once and then going for a farm down, but actually, the opponent is going to over farm here. So we go straight for Brick Break, we get the KO there. They come back in with Clefable, and they get the Fairy Wind farm down. But we come in with the Armor Rouge, but they've got a Druddigon in the back, and now things are going to get tricky for us. I'm going to go for Liquidation. Liquidation honestly probably would get the KO anyways. Druddigon fairly attack weighted, and we get a shield anyways. We're going to go for the farm down here, and this one actually I make a pretty significant mistake here. So they go for a Night Sash. I should just go straight for a Flame Charge there, because the opponent now allowing them to grab my final shield with a Night Sash, and they actually get the boost, and that boosted Dragon Tail now means that I probably won't live a Moonblast. So definitely should have just fired off the Flame Charge. Now, of course, I'm boosting up my attack, but it's just going to be too little too late as we go for the Side Shock. Side Shock grabs the final shield, and they are just barely able to outpace me by one turn, reach a Moonblast. Moonblast easily takes us out from that range, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG so far there, into the next battle, we see Druddigon in the lead this time around. We're going to say swap into Wugtrio. The opponent's going to bank a Dragon Claw and then swap into a Miltank. So we're going to go straight for Liquidation. Liquidation does drop the defense this time around, and they have to throw here. Otherwise, I would just barely reach another Liquidation and grab a shield advantage. So at this point, we're going to come in with the Crocodile, probably most likely. Nope, never mind. We're actually going to come in with the Armor Rouge, realizing it's not going to do too well up against that Druddigon. And go for an Incinerate farm down here as they only reach one Body Slam. And we might actually just fire off the Charge Boost straight away. So let's see. The opponent's going to wait out the switch clock, and we do go straight for the Side Shock here. Side Shock should grab a shield. We swap into our Crocodile, and the opponent will be firing off a Charge Boost. I'm going to shield the first one. If they do throw a second one straight away, then I'm probably just going to... Actually, you know what? I will shield this as well. The fact they're not swapping out here means they probably are weak to the Crocodile in the back, and they are. It's going to be a Galarian Slowbro, and this time we've got enough HP. We can go straight for Crunch. Crunch doesn't get the debuff, but one more Mud Slap gets the KO, and I'm able to take that game. By the way, I did do these battles a few days ago, so that's why I'm kind of guessing what I'm going to do rather than actually knowing what I'm doing. But into the next battle, we're going to see Aloma Mola in the lead. So again, not great for us at all. I say swap into my Crocodile here, hoping to bait something out. Unfortunately, they actually just stay in here, so definitely not great for us. We go for a Crunch. And at this point, I'm going to wait out my switch clock as the opponent has not swapped out yet. So we're switch locked and the opponent isn't. But at this point, I'm going to shield up the Wugtrio. The opponent's going to go and full send a Hydro Pump there, which would do more damage than the Psychic. Honestly, it probably puts me into farm down range. But then they come in with a Galarian Slowbro. So we're going straight for Liquidation here. Liquidation going to be no-shielded by the opponent, which is honestly quite surprising. Of course, if I knew they were going to no-shield, I would have gone for the dig. But either way, Liquidation now grabs a shield. We force them to throw the energy. And it just depends what they've got in the back. Brutal Swing, going to get the KO here. We come in with the Armor Rouge, and we should be able to outpace them to that first charge move, but it ends up being a CMP tie. I don't understand how that works. Of course, they should take one turn to swap out there, so that should never be CMP. And unfortunately, that is going to cost me, as you will see here, because, of course, if I've got one extra Incinerate through, I could have just committed to a full farm down here. But unfortunately, I had to go for a Flame Charge, and we end up getting a simultaneous KO, and we do end up losing that game. But GG's up in there. Into next battle, we see a Shadow Slowbro in the lead. And honestly, I probably should have stayed in to see what fast move they had there. I assumed it was going to be a Water Gun, in which case, honestly, I shouldn't swap out into Wild Trio anyways. But they are actually on Confusion, so swapping out didn't really make an awful lot of sense. But we can now come in with the Armor Shield possibly once here. But actually, Surf's going to do quite a lot of damage, so I might just no-shield this. And they actually go for an Acid Spray there. So we've seen lots of Scrafty running completely different movesets. Not a single one has actually thrown Foul Play. So I don't know if people just aren't running Foul Play in this meta. Honestly, I just don't have a clue. I've hardly done any battles in the Love Cup or just any battles in general over the past week. But either way, we're going to fire off a Crunch. Crunch is going to be no-shielded by the opponent. It drops the defense, but unfortunately, we don't get damage registration error there. And it means we don't reach a last second charge view, but the opponent fires off the Ice Punch. I realize here, I might as well just go straight for Flame Charge. It's unlikely at this range they're going to shield, but we can now boost up our attack here. There's no point in them going for a charge view as they won't reach 2, and I am just barely able to get the Incinerate farm down there, taking out the Shadow Slowbro, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there, into next battle, awful lead matchup for me. Gonna say swap into Wild Trio, and we're met with a Medicham once again. So, the opponent's gonna go straight for a Power Punch. I should be able to live this, honestly, not that comfortably, but yeah, I don't know if I'd live 2 counters there, so I go straight for Liquidation. Liquidation, gonna be no-shielded by the opponent as well. We drop the defense, which probably doesn't actually help me that much, because I'd probably rather get an extra Incinerate through. But either way, we come in with the Armor Rouge. They do reach a last second charge move, but it's just gonna be another Power Punch, which of course is resisted damage, doesn't do much damage at all. They're going to wait out the Switch Shock before coming back in with their Tyrantrum. We swap straight away into the Crocodile, and they come in with a Talonflame. So not really ideal for me. Against most Fire types, Crocodile going to have a great time, but unfortunately up against a Flying and Fire type Pokemon, Mud Slap is of course resisted, but I'm going to shield anyways as they go for a Flame Charge here. Going to go for one Mud Slap, fire off the Break, which will debuff their defense here. And unfortunately Incinerate takes us out, but because I dropped their defense twice, I'm able to get the farm down. And now Armor Rouge are looking to be in a good position here, so I'm 1 away from back-to-back Side Shocks. The opponent will not reach back-to-back Crunches, so we fire off the first Side Shock. This should grab the final shield from the opponent, and Side Shock number 2. All shields are now down. Of course, we'll be getting the KO up against Tyrantrum, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG's up on there. Into next battle, we see a Bruxish in the lead. So, not really ideal for me. For some reason, I swap out straight away into Wild Trio. That makes very little sense there. I realize, obviously, they're going to be on Confusion once again. So, Armor Rouge was, of course, we're going to hit for resisted Incinerate damage. They're also going to hit for resisted Fast Move damage. So, I should have just stayed in there. That made no sense to just fully sacrifice the Wild Trio either. So, honestly, don't have a clue what I'm doing here. But now we can come in, get the Mud Slap farm done. I still had to use a shield anyway. So, yeah, the complete waste of the Wild Trio there. But either way, they come in with a Scrafty. I drop their defense. We swap into our Armor Rouge, and they come in with Electrode. Now, I can throw on the CMP tie. Maybe should have actually opted to go for an extra Incinerate there, expecting the opponent to throw straight away. But either way, I'm going to shield this up. I'm hoping to, like, just completely waste the clock here and reach another charge move and then swap into my Crocodile. But unfortunately, that will not be the case. So we fire off Side Shock number 2. Side Shock grabs the final shield there. They actually go for the overfarm there. And unfortunately, our Switch Clock now will be up, but the opponent can just swap out as well. We come in with the Crocodile. I can reach a break here, but it just doesn't really matter at this point. The opponent has the energy for a charge move. Honestly, even a Thunder Punch might take us out from this range, but it's a foul play. Foul play gets the KO there, and unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG's up in there. Into the next battle, we see Electrode in the lead this time around. So I'm going to stay in this matchup, and the opponent will throw straight away. So I'm going to shield this up here, and then going to farm up to 100 energy before firing off a Flame Charge. And of course, Flame Charge going to boost up my attack as well. And I should win CMP in this matchup. So the opponent actually just no shields, which is fine with me. They come in with a Alola Mola. We are boosted, so I'm actually just going to stay in here. Go for a Side Shock, grab a shield from the Alola Mola, and then fire off a second Side Shock, which is going to do some respectable damage here. It puts them into the yellow health range, and they can, of course, go for a Waterfall farm down. That's okay. We come in with the Wild Trio, and I probably will shield in this matchup. Nope, never mind. I'm getting all the wrong guesses here. They go for a Psychic. That does quite a lot of damage. I'm now going to bank the energy, swap into my Crocodile, and they've got a Talonflame in the back once again. And this time, I'm not going to throw straight away. Instead, I realized it would have been a CMP tie, so I opt for the extra Mud Slap. Now we can farm up to close to back-to-back crunches. First crunch is going to be shielded by the opponent. It does not drop the defense there. If we get the defense drop, honestly, I could probably KO with the crunch, but it actually doesn't really matter here as we have a liquidation loaded on the Wug Trio, and that Alomomola is incredibly low. So liquidation gets the KO there. One more Mud Slap, we get the farm down up against Alomomola, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG top on there. Into next battle, we see a Licky in the lead once again. So once again, get a save swap into the Wug Trio, and again, they will stay in this matchup and fire for charge move just before we reach that liquidation. So the opponent goes for the Shadow Ball this time around before swapping into a Slowking. So I'm going for the Dig. Dig, of course, going to hit for neutral damage here. Honestly, Dig, pretty awful charge move since it got nerfed. And the reason I'm running Liquidation, of course, because Surf got nerfed a few seasons ago as well. So honestly, not great for the Wug Trio, but Mud Slap is a pretty good fast move. Well, actually a very good fast move, which honestly will probably also get nerfed in a future season, if I'm being realistic here. But we get the Mud Slap snipe with the Crocodile here. We're just hoping that Crocodile can sweep this game. So we are going to see the opponent comes back in with the Licky. I'm actually going to shield this, and the opponent's running Earthquake and Shadow Ball there. They come in with the Skeledirge. I'm going to farm up to 100 energy here. Fire off the Crunch. Crunch is going to be shielded by the opponent. We get the defense drop there. Honestly, probably could have gotten away with going for a Brick Break. I'm guaranteed a shield here. And then here, I waited one turn, but they went for the extra Incinerate anyways. And unfortunately, not able to make the catch there. The opponent reads me like a book. They just go for that extra fast move. They KO me with a Disarming Voice. And unfortunately, we do lose that game. But GG top on there. Into next battle, we see Ariados in the lead. It's a great lead matchup for me. The opponent save swaps into Soul Rock, and of course, they can be running Solar Beam. They're probably running Solar Beam. I'm going to shield. It is the Solar Beam there. We can go for a huge Mud Slap farm down, come out with a ton of loaded energy here. And at this point, I'm going to go for a Brick Break first. I mean, to be honest, Crunch has a chance to debuff the defense anyways, and it does do a lot more damage than a Brick Break. Could have just gone for back-to-back Crunches, especially since I already dropped the defense there. Maybe I then could have just gone straight Brick Break, but either way, doesn't really matter. This game should be wrapped up now. We've aligned the Wug Trio to the Alomomola. The opponent's going to go and fire off a Cross Poison, which means I actually can't commit to a full farm down here. Instead, I have to go for the Flame Charge. Flame Charge, going to boost up my attack here. I'm still able to reach a Side Shock before they farm me down. This should be grabbing the final shield from the opponent. And of course, Alomomola incredibly slow to reach charge moves. I can just safely shield this up, then maybe overfarm just slightly here, go for one more Mud Slap, fire off the Dig, and Dig, not the best move, but it should be enough damage to get the KO up against Alomomola, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG top on there. Into next battle, we're going to face a tiny Licky, and I'm not going to lie, I did these battles at like 1 AM. This battle just cracked me up. That Licky is just so small there. We're now going to go and fire off a Liquidation as we save swap into the Wug Trio, and they come in with an Ariados, and we grab a shield advantage. So at this point, I'm happy with that. I'm going to let the Ariados go down, or sorry, let the Wug Trio go down to the Ariados as they go for a Trailblaze. But honestly, I wasn't paying too close attention there. So, of course, Trailblaze boosted up their attack, which means this lunge is going to do huge damage here, but I no shield anyways. We get the Incinerate farm down. We're going to swap out straight away, but I'm able to core break their backline as we come in with the Crocodile. I'm going to no shield. This is just going to be a brutal swing, which is, of course, resisted damage. And at this point, I'm just going to commit to a full Mud Slap farm down here as I realize I can come out with so much loaded energy. They go for brutal swing number 2. We've got back-to-back Brick Breaks. Going to fire off the first one straight away. Brick Break, going to be no shielded by the tiny Licky. I can now fire off a Crunch here as I realize they might no shield that, but either way, doesn't really matter. At this point, I'm actually going to shield this. I'm just going to force them to go for the next Body Slam as soon as they get it, and we've got a charge move on the Armarouge anyways. I've dropped their defense, so either thing I throw here, we go for a Side Shock. This will definitely be enough damage up against the tiny Licky to get the KO, and I'm able to take that game. So, GG top on there. Into next battle, we see Armarouge into a Draudigon once again. So this time I'm actually going to stay in, go for one Incinerate, and then swap out, because I realize by going for the Incinerate first and then swapping, I'm going to force the opponent to throw on alignment there. So I get off a full Mud Slap in as they throw the charge move. Then I'm going to swap into a Galarian Slowbro. This time we go for the Dig, and unfortunately it does get shielded. But either way, that's okay with me. I'm going to wait out the switch clock here and then come in with my Crocodile, hoping that they might just blind throw a Brutal Swing. The opponent actually goes for Brutal Swing anyways, and they're at back-to-back charge moves, but this will just be another Brutal Swing, which of course is resisted, but they swap into a Licky Licky. So this is quite awkward for me. I'm going to go and fire off the Brick Break here. Brick Break, going to be no-shielded by the opponent. I'm then going to swap and then just fully sacrifice the Armor at this point, as the opponent full sends the Earthquake there, getting the one-shot. We come back in with the Crocodile. I have to commit to a farm down, but it just doesn't really matter at this point. The opponent still has a shield. I can go for the farm down here, come out with a Crunch loaded, fire it off into the Drodagon coming back in, but they can just safely shield up the Crunch there, go for the Dragon Tail farm down, and unfortunately we do lose that game. But GG Turbo there into the final battle of this video, leading into a Bruxish, and this time we don't just randomly swap out into a Wild Trio and completely sacrifice it. Instead, gonna stay in with the Armarouge. They go for an Arquitel there. I'm gonna go for 100 energy, fire off the Flame Charge, and then I'm actually gonna swap into my Wild Trio now to catch the next Arquitel, which I assume they're gonna throw straight away, and they do exactly that. Except they don't. They actually go for a Psychic Fangs there for some reason, but they swap into a Loma Mola, which again is actually pretty good for me because, of course, we realize, of course, Armarouge and Crocodile really do struggle up against the Loma Mola, but now we put them into range where, honestly, I can probably take them out with fast moves. I'm going to come in with the Armarouge, and this is just going to be a Psychic, so I should be able to tank this. I do tank it, and I'm going to fire off that Psyshock straight away. So Psyshock from this range will be getting the KO. We can swap instantly into the Crocodile, and they've actually got a Shadow Slowbro as well, so really interesting team here. Triple water, and yet my team that is double, well, two of the Pokemon are weak to water, is going to come out on top as we go for back-to-back crunches. First one grabs the final shield there, and crunch, of course, number 2 will be enough to take out the Shadow Slowbro, and I'm able to take that game.
So that's going to be it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please make sure you leave a like, leave a comment letting me know, and as well, don't forget to respond to the question of the day if you haven't done so already. And if you want to see more content like this in the future, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on post notifications. That way you'll be notified whenever I upload a new video. And if you want to take your support even further, you can now become a channel member with perks including early access to new videos, shoutouts at the end of each video, custom loyalty badges, and custom emojis to use in the comments. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone that has already become a channel member. Your support is greatly appreciated, and with that being said, thank you all so much for watching today's video, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.